Fear isn't always just a feeling. Sometimes it's a presence. Tonight, the mist clears and we come face to face with fear. From haunted objects to personal encounters with the unknown, we're answering your emails. And some of these stories will chill you to the bone. And recently, Sarah Lemos came face to face with the real Annabelle. Not in a movie, not in the comfort of a museum, but in the room with the doll herself. Did something follow her home? You'll have to stay tuned to find out. I'm joined by my favorite psychic mediums, Sarah Lemos and Scotty Davis, as we open the mailbag of the macabre and confront the darkest corners of the supernatural together. They say fear is all in our imagination, but tonight, fear strikes back. You're tuned into the very best in paranormal programming. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is my Paranormal 60.
I'm not gonna stand here and listen to this baloney. You won't know. He doesn't stand for baloney.
Sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me. Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
Good evening, Darklings. We're all here. We've got your emails, your stories, your questions. Joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen, from Ghost Town Terror and Ghosts of Someplace Else. Morgan City. That's it. My brain froze on me there. But we have got the one, the very only, and I'm saying, stretching it out here so I can unmute her microphone, Sarah Lemos. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks so much. I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you back and talk to you a little bit about your experience this past weekend. And Scotty the Medium, our very own Scotty the Medium, is here with us. And exciting stuff going on with you too, Scotty.
Yes.
Way to sell it. Scott, if you don't know, aside from being social media king of all things paranormal, Scotty is also one of the stars of Phantom Forensics with our good friend Dalen Spratt. And all 3 episodes of the series are out now, available for you to watch. We have a link on today's program guide so that you can go watch, you can subscribe, you can follow, you can help support this so that there could be more episodes down the road. But let's take just a quick look from the final episode of Phantom Forensics.
What are you? I heard help us. This is now that I'm tuned in and I'm looking, there is a formless black shadow standing right here, and it has several kind of like tentacles coming off of it. It's very strong, and it's right here because there's no gender to this. It's literally a black shadow with kind of things coming off of it, and it's just like looking into like a black hole. It's really scary looking, actually. Right. And it's not playing. It's not doing a Hollywood monster effect. It's not trying to make me think that it's something it's not. Actually, as a matter of fact, it is exactly what it represents itself as. This is something that is very, in my opinion, very dangerous. Did you hear it say death? It said, I caused death. Listening. It said, be quiet. I don't want to scare you, but it's literally touching your other shoulder right now. Say you are. Say, do you want me? Nope. As a matter of fact, we're gonna get you to leave. This is my decision. Wrong. It's our decision.
That looks phenomenal. Way to terrify Dalen Spratt, by the way. I love his face. It's this kind of blank, twisted look of terror as he's listening to this message, and you're talking about this tentacled, black, shadowy, amorphous figure reaching out and touching him on the shoulder.
I know. It was scary. It was a very tense and scary moment. I didn't expect to find that where we were. So very interesting.
Very cool. So all 3 episodes are out. Now that you've had a chance, I mean, you lived it, you were there, you've seen the series. Does it inspire you to want to go back out there even more, Scotty, and deal with some more of these kind of strange hauntings to see if there's some new answers you guys can find?
Yeah, 100%. There are so many different threads that we pulled on and we didn't even get to go explore yet because we want to film all of what we're doing. So yeah, there's more to do, and I can't wait to get out there. It's very exciting. We're as I understand it, they're already researching more stories based on what I gave them the first go around. So we have a lot more content to make.
I was just out in Ohio where you guys were investigating, and I was out at Mansfield Reformatory this weekend for their 6th annual Parapsychon event. I just want to tell you, I had so many people come up that are fans of the Paranormal 60, and they were chatting with me about the episodes, and one fan after another came up and said, I love when you have Scotty and Sarah on to answer our emails and our questions. They are so fantastic as a team. I hope to see you guys work together sometime. So I said, well, I'll plant the seed with Scotty again. I'll let Sarah know. But yeah, I would totally be down with the three of us getting together to do something fun here in the future.
Yes.
Yes, 100%. I think we all want that.
Yep.
Yeah. We might even want to go shake up the Palmer house, the three of us together, and bring Dalen with us because Dalen's had some experiences there. Maybe we should film a little like a documentary, a shock doc on the Palmer house. What do you think?
That would be fantastic. I think we should do that.
Yeah. And I've got a lot of friends out here. I could have them dressed up in sheets. They could be running around in the building, and we'll catch the most amazing ghost evidence ever. No?
Excellent. Yeah, no, I think it's great. We want to give them something for their money, right, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I love that Sarah's always kind of like, I'm open to whatever, but just understand I'm going to blow the whistle on what an idiot you are at some point during all of this. Yeah. So we've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about, a lot of cool emails, but I kind of teased it with the fact that Sarah, you spent some time with the Annabelle, not the one from the movies, but the actual Annabelle from the Warrens Museum, which is kind of doing a little tour right now. Father Bob was part of that, and I think he oversees the pieces and the tour. You got to be in there. Now, when you're going in, I mean, I understand you are a great evidential medium. You are so good at what you do, but how do you go in and face something like this without having part of your imagination take over?
Oh, absolutely. So, it's really careful to stay grounded in these type of situations and grounded and alert. Because I didn't know, I don't know anything about the doll. I didn't know anything about its history. I knew it looked like Raggedy Ann, but I don't know anything else. And so when I went in, I knew to be very careful.
So you get in there. Now, I do want to say one thing because this is still driving me nuts. I can't believe this is still a bone of contention for people this many years after the Conjuring first movie came out and the Annabelle movies. Well, this is so fake. That's not even what the real Annabelle looks like. That's because the real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yes.
And they couldn't get the rights.
No.
People that own Raggedy Ann don't want it associated with demonic. Now, you can show real pictures of the actual doll, but there was no way they were going to allow licensing to make America's sweetheart Raggedy Ann become a killer. However, I say that, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there is a Banana Splits horror movie that exists. Yes. Do you remember the Banana Splits?
Oh, did Nicolas Cage do that movie?
No, that was, I know what you're thinking of, but
it's a different one.
But it's kind of in that vein of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, that's too much for me. I didn't like the Banana Splits as a comedy act, let alone a horror film. I'm sorry. I'll see myself out.
Yes, please do. But yeah, they've got a movie about that. I don't know, but you can't get the real Annabelle because they wouldn't give the rights to it. So they just created a creepy image of a doll to give you that. And the truth be told, I wish they would have made it less creepy looking than they did in the movie, because I think what's even more terrifying is when it is this bright, sunny fake doll and dark stuff is around it. I don't know. That's my take on it. Scotty, I know you love horror movies. Would you rather see something fresh and, kind of Cabbage Patch Kitty that's sweet and loving looking, knowing something dark is attached to it? Does that make it more frightening, or does it have to have the Chucky twisted face?
No, I kind of liked when Chucky looked like a good guy, right? When he was just like a cuddly guy, and then all of a sudden he's like, also, I have an 8-inch butcher knife that I'm coming for you with. It's
Right.
horrifying. It's such a juxtaposition. Yeah. That's why we're all afraid of our Teddy Ruxpin dolls when we were little. And there's so many cool stories about those things just coming to life and talking. And there's, I don't know. They can't all be haunted, but maybe.
Maybe.
Well,
All right.
So, Dave, just so you know, there was also the doll from the movie. So the doll from the movie was there, and Annabelle. Both Annabelles were there.
Were they jealous of one another?
No, there was definitely no jealousy.
Was it like the real Annabelle was pissed at the fake Annabelle because she became like the Susanna Hoffs of the spooky dolls and was getting all the attention?
And all those high cheekbones.
She doesn't even go here.
So what happened? You got to you go in. First of all, with the movie adaptation, because so many people have seen it and been freaked out by it, even though it's never been in the presence of all of these people, do you pick up psychic scarring on it because of what everybody kind of, projects onto it?
Yeah, that was my main concern. Because when I walked over to it, well, I almost fell over when I walked into the room, which was embarrassing because the amount of energy, I don't know if it's protection that they're using or if it's the doll itself, but the energy was the most intense I've ever felt and almost fell over. And then as I came close to the doll, it was almost like, you better respect it. And it just came through my head, you better respect it. So as I walked up to it, I kind of bowed my head a little bit and I just kept my eye on it. And then I turned to the side and was like, whoa, I don't feel anything. And then I'm like, shoot, that's exactly what it wants me to feel. And I got the chilly willies again. So I'm in there and they got the red lights and all the dark and the stuff. And then there I am. And it was intense. And I was like, everybody was like, well, what do you feel? Because that's what they always ask the medium. And I was like, I don't feel anything. And that's exactly what it wants me to experience in this.
Now, are you saying this is the movie version or the real one?
This is the real one.
Okay.
The movie one is just sassy and it sits there. But when you walk over to this other one, you can feel it. You can feel it. But again, when you walk by hundreds and hundreds of people in line, hundreds.
Right.
And I believe in manifestation and I believe in feeding energy to things that you have to be careful with. And you have hundreds of people waiting to see Annabelle who are scared, bringing holy water. They were packing holy water in their back pockets to go in.
Go if that's the case. Don't go if you're that afraid.
Right? Agreed. And I would just talk to people in line just to see how they were, and they were scared. And I'm like, that's so interesting because you don't want to feed the demon. I mean, if that's what we're dealing with, I'm a little nervous.
Wow. So very good. So once you leave the doll, and I know you don't want to give too much away right here because you do have something pretty exciting in the works as well. Did you feel as though it stayed, the spirit, the essence stayed where it was supposed to, or do you feel that it noticed you?
I feel that it noticed me in that moment where I realized it wanted me to feel nothing and it knew I knew that. That's when I got very uncomfortable. I'm like, this energy shouldn't know these things. And it got very uncomfortable very quick.
Well, for those of you that would like to know more and get more in depth and in the head of Sarah Lemos, and you're always wondering, how can I do that? Well, luckily she made this video.
Annabelle. Yep, met her in Texas. Tell you all about it in Expansion. All the things I experienced and didn't experience meeting Annabelle this weekend at the Paranormal Twins event in Texas. It was incredible. But if you want to know what I think of Annabelle, head over to Expansion now and check out Mystic Mornings. It's the first one on the top, don't forget. And there's so much more in Expansion, guys. So much fun stuff. By the way, do you know that there's now a place that you can ask me questions and I will do videos in response? Yeah. Expansion is just expanding more, and more. But if you want to know what I think about Annabelle, jump over to Expansion and watch Mystic Mondays. Holy.
Yeah, I had to edit that last part.
No, you didn't.
I know. And I got to tell you a funny joke. I watched the video and I'm like, oh, I got to find this. And for some reason, expansion was not the word that was in my head. When you're like, oh, it keeps going and going. I thought I'm an idiot. I typed in the word extends.
That's something else, buddy.
I didn't misspell it either. I typed in extends and I was like, what is she sending us to this website for? It is for a herbal pill to extend your
The life of your man.
yeah.
Yeah.
To make little Dave bigger Dave. And I'm like, extends. So I went back and I watched a video and I was like, I'm an idiot. I need to pay closer attention to what I'm doing because that was so stupid. So don't go look for it. It extends. You can look for the actual website on today's program guide.
Don't go to extends
link. And now I've said extends enough times that they should be paying me for the membership on this. Oh God, what an idiot. So tell people about what you've got going in and what they sign up. They get unfettered access to all of your mad rantings and they can ask you questions. Do things kind of like we do once a month, they can do with you on a more regular basis.
Right. So it's just a place to connect, ask questions, talk about your gifts. I also record a lot of meditations and working with different crystals and different mini classes. So maybe you can't catch one of my full classes, but you can catch one of the minis. So yeah, a lot going on in expansion. Really excited about it.
And if you go over there right now and use code word Dave Extends, you're going to save 1% off of the cost of.
Did he say 1? He meant 8.
Oh, we all need help. That's sad and scary all at the same time. But, very cool. So you saw Annabelle. I went to TapsCon in someplace in Florida a decade ago, and they had right across from me was Robert the Doll.
Oh.
And I'm just like, this thing is so stupid and overhyped. Look at how dumb that doll is. And I walk up and everybody's like, oh, Robert, may I take your photograph, please? May I please another photograph? And I'm just watching people and I was like, God, how dumb are people? How dumb are people? And I just walked up and started taking pictures with my cell phone. And nothing bad happened to me. And I get on the plane and I open up my phone and I go to look at the pictures. Because what I like to do when I'm on the plane is I go through and I scroll through pictures of my family and friends. Every picture except for Robert, like thousands of photos are gone except for Robert the Doll on my phone.
Whoa.
You shut your mouth.
Yeah. So I should have asked permission, apparently, to photograph Robert the Amazing Doll. And I've become a believer ever since.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That would make me a believer.
Very nutty. Hey, listen, we got a special edition for a few minutes here tonight because we have something else I want to talk about, Paranormal Mysteries, since you guys got to kind of promote the cool stuff you're doing. Paranormal Mysteries, the new series starring Shane Pittman, Dave Schrader, and Cindy Kaza is going to start up on Stream Beacon TV this fall. Mid-September, it'll release 6 episodes. You can watch it all the way through Halloween, and we're going to be doing some fun stuff. Thank you very much for the love and support. If you haven't already signed up for Stream Beacon TV, you can go do it. Just download the app, keep it, and then sign up in September when the show comes on and you can watch it, or go watch it now. Go watch all the great content. They've got true crime, horror, and paranormal all on Stream Beacon TV. Go check it out for yourself. But there is an excellent magazine out there. I don't want to brag, but our little show, Paranormal Mysteries, is being featured on that magazine this month, and I'm going to have a link for this magazine so you can subscribe to Ghosted Magazine. I'll have it on today's program guide for you listening, or for those of you watching, you'll be able to go and get it. Joining us now from Ghosted Magazine, we have another medium, 3 mediums.
3 mediums.
Right.
I'm actually a small. So
I was going to say, and it's rare to have this many, so we have 3 medium rares right here on the show. April Bussett, and you probably recognize April as a Holzer Files fan. She was part of the Lambert Castle episode with us. And I had one of my favorite moments when April says she's a small, not a medium. She's not kidding. When we did our interview, they had to make her stand on 2 apple boxes just to have her eye level with my chin. And I always forget I'm 6'1" and 6'3" in heels, and I'm a big boy, and I'm standing talking to her, and I'm listening to her story, and I'm trying to drink it all in, and then they cut and they have to rearrange lights, and April goes, "Are you mad at me?" I'm like, "No, why?" And she goes, "You're really intimidating. You're very big and scary."
I was so nervous being around you. But then when they weren't filming, you had me laughing. So as soon as we started filming, he said, "Stop laughing. Stop laughing."
Yep.
We're scared the whole time.
Got you in there. But Ghosted Magazine, talk to us a little bit about Ghosted Magazine, April, and what they can do.
This is our issue number 7, and we are so excited to have you guys on it. Dave Schrader, Cindy Kazar, and Shane Pittman. Oh my God. Do you know Cindy was on our issue number 2 and it sold out twice in less than 22 hours. And guess what? It's almost sold out.
The new issue is almost sold out?
But Dave, I think it's because of you, because we've been telling people that you are the centerfold.
Oh, well, yeah. And Scotty bought all of those, I think.
That's hot. Yeah, I actually have them all.
You've got
Thank you.
Secret Life of Haunted Dolls. We just got done talking about dolls. Secret Life of Haunted Dolls with Patty Negri, the man behind the horror, Stephen King. You've got Staticom 3.0 talking about a new device to create communication, instant communication with the other side. Plus, you get to know more about Paranormal Mysteries.
Yes,
the new TV
That's what
program.
we're very excited about. About your show, and Stream Beacon TV is amazing.
Yeah, very cool.
We feature smaller teams. We try to get these lesser known teams out there. And we actually I came across this team. They're actually deaf. Fear the Dark Paranormal. Amazing. Yes. So you got to read the story about them behind how they investigate,
It was funny because I met a couple of them at one of the conferences, and somebody was kind of breaking down what was being said, and they were hilarious. I don't know if what's the word, translator? I don't know what the proper terminology is, but the person who was helping me understand what was being signed said, "What's one thing you never experience on a ghost hunt with us?" Shh, did you hear that? And I thought that was pretty clever. I was like, I laughed. I thought that's great. And it's interesting that you bring that up, because you think as a paranormal investigator, so much of what we do relies on our hearing. Footsteps, voices, whispers, whistles, noises. What's it like to have one of our biggest senses stripped from us going into an investigation?
Yeah.
And I actually have an email that I'm going to share in a little bit. A listener, I had put out a question a while ago about blind people. Do they have paranormal experiences? And do they see things in a way that maybe we wouldn't, even though they're blind? And I've got an interesting email we'll share a little bit later. But April, what do you think of that? I mean, I know they say when you kind of strip away one of our bigger faculty,
it intensifies all the others. You guys know that too, right? I'm petrified in the dark. So when we go investigating and I'm in complete darkness, I actually can see and hear better. The spirits around me. So, and that makes me crazy. I want to be able to control it in my head, not visually, because that scares the hell out of me. I'm sure you guys understand that. So I always have a flashlight with me.
It's funny when I listen back, and Scotty can attest to this. When I get EVP somewhere, when I listen back, I always close my eyes. Because when I don't, if I'm looking around the room, I sometimes forget that I'm also listening and I get distracted. So it's when I close my eyes, I usually hear the EVP more clearly, and I'm not distracted by people in the room, by something that might have moved. And then I'm able to kind of connect a little bit more with the recorder and with my experience. So I've often tried to take the vision away when it comes to just the listening aspect.
Well, I was with you at Hillview Manor, and you were intense. He was like, but you got great EVPs there too.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Pretty lucky. I get some really good stuff. Although I got to tell you something heartbreaking. I was just out when I was at with Scotty. And we were doing an investigation at one. I think it was maybe I've been on the road so much this last month, my brain is melting. But I went into one of the rooms, started trying to communicate, and all of a sudden my recorder turned off. And all 90 recordings erased off my recorder.
What?
Oh,
yeah.
No.
And I was like, no.
That stinks.
how did that happen? But it was crazy. And then I got responses again right after, so it was pretty pleased with itself.
Yeah, you're one of those people that, like, you know, with the recordings, EVPs always gets EVPs. You just
not
attract
always.
the spirits always.
That's what's nice though, is like I was just out at Parapsychon and I couldn't get an EVP to save my life this time. But
You
that's
lost your
good.
mojo.
No. I think it's good, and the reason why is because if I got EVPs everywhere I went, every time, people would start to think it is an inherent flaw with the recorder.
All right.
And then but I was also confined to one area where there might not have been spirits. I wasn't free roaming. I was in this bullpen area, while there were celebrities and paranormal personalities kind of stationed throughout. So where I was, no spirit was up to talking. They did some cool stuff doing the kind of Estes method, but yeah, very strange. So Ghosted Magazine, this is issue number 7.
Issue number 7.
Where's the best place to order Ghosted Magazine?
Go to ghostedmagazine.com and hurry, because I'm telling you, when I think I have 15 issues left, because we did a pre-order, and when they saw Dave's beautiful face, it just boom. We're almost sold out. Like, this is within 2 days.
I love that I can definitely hear the East Coast in you, because you mentioned Cindy Kaiser, and when you score my face, so I can definitely tell.
You know, she never corrects me when I talk to her, though. But
because she's from the East Coast, she probably doesn't even hear that. Yeah.
Her accent probably changed by now.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, you know, I want to say something. You know, when we're at Hillview, I think you know, inherently have some abilities, because you were drawn to that one spot. Like, you just went off and you were attracted to that one spot, and boom, boom, you just kept getting answers and responses. So I think it's you. Sometimes
I have that sense. And when I'm around Scotty and Sarah, they tell me the same thing. They're like, dude, just let go and let the psychic side of you come out. Yeah. I don't know if I told you guys my new idea for a t-shirt. I'm going to have a new t-shirt that says Psy Curious on it.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. That's hot. Yeah. That's really hot.
Maybe I'll be selling them in Ghosted Magazine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for my website.
You know, it's great too. We're like international now. We're in UK, Australia. Where else? I forgot, a whole bunch of places. But it's great. Our subscribers are so loyal, and we have a lot of them that collect the magazines. Right. So they can't wait for this. So they're excited for you.
Is it a digital magazine as well? Can I just order
digital and print? As a matter of fact, I'm going to the printer tomorrow to give it a once over and give them the okay to print it. So it'll be going out this week.
Fantastic. Well,
nice. Very cool.
Thank you for being part of our world and for exposing paranormal mysteries. Yeah.
And you're having a great show, because you got 2 great people on here.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. 3 with you visiting. Thanks for stopping by, April. Have a good
one.
Hi,
guys. Have a great night.
Bye. You too.
How exciting. Lots of cool stuff popping for all of us. Let's do this. We're going to take a very quick break. Then we got to start getting through these emails, because we got a lot of questions and a lot of stories to share. So stay with us. We'll be doing that right after this. A vampire in Rhode Island?
A UFO crash in Connecticut?
A flying moose in Maine?
A haunted bridge that calls your name?
New England is weird.
Really weird.
Wicked Strange by Jeff Belanger and Frank Grace is your ticket to the bizarre. Ghosts, monsters, urban legends, and roadside oddities you won't believe until you see them.
So pre-order now on Amazon. It drops September 2nd.
Assuming the Black Dog of West Peak doesn't get you first.
Let's get strange.
Wicked Strange. Pre-order your copy now on Amazon. Welcome back to the program. This is the very best in paranormal programming. Why? Because I said so. And I'm Dave Schrader, and I approve this ad. Hey, let's also mention we've got a couple of people popping in. Karen Fry makes a nice $4.99 donation to us through the super likes. Karen says, Scotty, you and Dalen should go to Central Ohio Fire Museum and OSR to wrap up the Ohio Penn stories.
Okay. I love everybody. Thank you so much for saying stuff. Please don't say anything else, because I can't know. I'm literally, Dave and I talked about this. I'm in a cone of silence. I know nothing. The best thing about Ohio is I've only ever been there to film what we did. So I know nothing, and it's totally awesome. We might end up there because if you watch the first 3 episodes, you'll see that there's a huge part that of the fire that's it's nuts. Go watch it, please. Thank you for the thank you for saying so.
Phantom Forensics. Yeah, go check it out.
Yeah. Yes, please. Cone of silence.
Cone of silence. And let me tell you, Sarah and I have been with Scotty. He knows nothing.
Thank you for saying so. I appreciate you so much.
Also want to recognize Thesis himself, $19.99, dropping it on me. For Dave's eyebrow of curiosity, Scotty's facial expressions, Miss Lemos insight, and the surprise April Le Psychic Housewife. He made a nice little donation. And not to be outdone, ladies and gentlemen, our very own Addie Firebird drops $50 on us because we guys rock.
I got to do the thing.
I like that. That's right. I don't often mention it, but thank you very much for the love and support on the show and the donations like that. I try not to hawk board often, but I do appreciate it when you guys do that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's get to some emails.
Yeah.
See if we can get some insight. Hi, Dave, Sarah, and Scotty. Well, that's good. We're all 3 in this one. I've had 3 encounters with a shadow person. Just to briefly give you my history, I've been experiencing many different paranormal experiences throughout my life, starting when I was just a little girl, continuing periodically throughout my life. I'm 70 years old, a young 70 at that, she says, and I've had these experiences with a shadow person in the last 5 years. But it's the last one that compelled me to write to you. My first experience was in 2020 when COVID was at its peak. The worry night after night became unbearable. One night I was lying on my right side and I felt something lay down beside me. It felt warm. It felt like something was merging into me, to be honest. I felt it put an arm around me. I shoved the arm away with my elbow, and that was the end of that. Strangely enough, in 2023, when my sister was dying of cancer, she told me that someone laid with her and she felt an arm go around her. She believes it was our mother.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't connect that with my 2020 experience until recently. The second time was sometime in 2023. I sat halfway up in bed to turn over, and there was a shadow person standing directly beside my bed. I looked at it and I said, "I'm not going with you." I turned around and went back to sleep. Don't ask me what possessed me to say that. Now, the third time was profound. It happened this past September of 2024. My husband got out of bed to go to the bathroom. I also had to go, so I got out of bed and sat on the edge of the bed waiting for him to come out. While I was waiting, I looked out into the hallway. There, at the top of the stairs, was a shadow person. I knew what I was seeing, but you know how you try to rationalize things? I thought it was my husband, even though I knew he was in the bathroom. I was just about to open my mouth and say, "Don't go down in the dark." The words never had a chance to come out because I think this is when it realized I could see it. I kept my eyes on the figure, knowing what I was experiencing. Suddenly, I saw a very thin gold light, as thin as a gold wire, outline this shape. Then the very thin gold light expanded around this figure and began to somehow shimmer. It was beautiful. And then it was gone. I immediately got up and poked my head out of the doorway. Sure enough, my husband was still in the bathroom. I went in afterwards, returned to bed, and fell asleep. I feel privileged and blessed to have seen that. Although I did not see what laid behind me back in 2020, in hindsight, I believe it was a shadow person, and that this shadow person is, in fact, my mom. If I see this shadow person again, I'm contemplating asking who it is. Would that be a mistake? I'm a longtime fan, and I want to thank you so much for making me laugh when I watch your shows. I don't get enough of that. I love you, Dave, and everything you do. Thank you for being such a caring and thoughtful person. Words ain't easy, and neither is life. I hope your family's doing well. Cindy Saunders writes in, well, I watched your head nodding like crazy, Sarah. That first experience, 2020, when she feels somebody climb into bed, put their arm around her. She, do you think that was her mom? What are you?
That's the first thing I got. It was mom. And also COVID was an interesting time. I'm sure many people have talked about this, but for some reason the veil was extremely thin during that time. And a lot of people were coming into their own gifts and things like that. So I think it's interesting that it happened during that time. And I think it's absolutely okay to ask. I don't know, Scotty, what do you think? I think it's absolutely okay to say hi or acknowledge.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
100
see them either, Scotty, because I see them that way. So what she just explained, when they come through the wall and I see them, there's an outline that's how I know I'm speaking to someone. So for me, this really sounds like she was talking to a spirit. And to me, it feels like it was absolutely mom.
Yeah, I also thought it was probably mom or a grandmother who would come and comfort like that when you're scared. I mean, that's what you need, right? And we're always somebody's kids. So that's definitely plausible. And then I don't see shadow people that way. Usually I see them fleeting like everyone else. If I see a shadow person straight on, usually a warning to me. So I perceive them for a different reason than you, it seems like. But the gold outline is really interesting. I like that. Gold outlines for me, when I see those things, are usually very, I try to keep the religion out of it, but very angelic. Very heavenly. So anytime I see that around anything, I know that it's a positive thing. So I think that was a very good thing.
The gold outline to me and the way it started came as something totally different. So that's why I love having these talks. We all come at it from a different perspective, different insight. What it sounded like to me is the thread that connects the physical form to the spiritual form, the soul. And a lot of people talk about it being either a silver or gold thread, and that it started off as this kind of gold thread and then began to surround them. It makes me wonder, are we astral projecting? Was that maybe a loved one astral projecting to her? And we have these weird dreams from time to time. If you ever see somebody with a gold outline around them, maybe ask some of your friends, just out of curiosity, did you dream about me last night? Because wouldn't it be interesting if one of your friends was like, this is so weird, I had a dream I was in your bedroom last night, and you don't know. I mean, you're picking up angelic. I'm going to go with you because you're a medium on this stuff, Scotty. But I think there's some interesting elements to this too to look at that might, I don't know, maybe extend.
No, I like your take on it for sure, because like I said, I only ever see gold outlines with things that are very high vibrational, like heaven like, but maybe there is something to you always have a very good theory. So I also want to trust you. And I think that's a great way to ask, right? Like, anybody watching, do you guys ever have those sorts of experiences where you see gold outlined beings? We'd like to know. It's interesting.
Yeah, comments in the YouTube video, if you're watching it live or watching it on replay, what are your thoughts? But I think this is an important element too. You have two mediums on the show, Sarah, Scotty, very good at what they do. And it's rare to see people that are in this field that back each other. And we can each come at it from a totally different perspective. But Scotty, you and I have talked about the fact that sometimes spirit shows us things that make sense to us, right? You see a red rose and John Edwards says, oh, this means love. To you, you give your wife a red rose every time you've, scratched the car or pissed her off, right? So to you, this is, I'm sorry. To Sarah, it's, I love you. To me, it's, I miss you, right? So we all have different interpretations. Now, because I grew up trying to astral project and learning about it, reading about it, and hearing about the silver and the gold cord, that will make sense to me. You seeing something, maybe it reveals itself with a gold aura or gold lining to you so that it's something recognizable for your lexicon of understanding.
Right. Exactly.
Completely agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
100%.
work, folks. You don't have to say, yeah, that's the definitive answer. But how can three people be right about the same thing when they're saying different things? Because to each one of us, the interpretation means this. And none of us are steadfast in the idea that it has to be our version, but it's something interesting to consider. So what you do is, maybe this was religious. Start thinking about, what was your day like that day? Were you having maybe some dark thoughts or lonely thoughts? Were you maybe feeling a certain way that something angelic needed to be there with you? Could it be that one of your friends or relatives were having this experience? Maybe, just maybe, I'm going to throw this out there. Maybe your husband was in the bathroom so long. I know a few guys this has happened to. They get up in the middle of the night and they sit down to go to the bathroom and might nod off. So maybe your husband, because you thought he was your husband at first in a sense, maybe it was a projection of your husband. And then he's like, what is going on? And then went back, and then he came out of the bathroom. It's just, again, there's different theories.
Listen, why not, right?
Yeah. All right. Let's get to our next one. Hey, Scotty and Sarah.
And Dave.
No, that
say
one's
his
not in there.
say his name. He gets upset. He calls us
It's not,
afterwards.
it's not even-
He calls us afterwards. Please make sure his name's in there.
No, I'm not. Love the show. You guys are awesome. Dave, my husband and I had the pleasure of meeting you at Michigan Paracon this August. I was totally fangirling that whole day to get to meet you and a bunch of other paranormal investigators. I've been watching you for years. It was so much fun and sad to find out it was the last one, especially since it was the first one we made it to. Anywho, this is something that happened to me a few years ago. My now husband and I used to take walks in the cemetery. He lived or by the cemetery. See, this is why commas are sometimes helpful, because I take those moments to break when I'm speaking. And in this one, I just kind of let a run-on sentence take control of this conversation. So let me back it up and try to read this in the way I'm sure it was meant to be read. This is something that happened to me a few years ago. My now husband and I used to take walks in the cemetery he lived by most evenings in the summer. It had mostly paved roads. Some parts were gravel, but it was a pretty decent walk around the whole thing. This evening in particular, we went a bit later than normal. It was about twilight when it started and around dusk when we made it towards what we were told was the Potter's Field portion of the cemetery. As we started walking by, I see this humanoid thing, army crawling on the ground towards me, reaching its hand towards me. I grabbed hold of my husband and flinched, and it was gone. It was nude, but just a torso, arms, legs, and a head with no face, no hair.
I
hold on one second. I was pretty shaken up. My husband saw nothing, but saw how shaken I was by what I know I saw and believed me. He had experiences in the cemetery as well in the past, but not like this. I'm not necessarily scared easily of things of this nature, as I've lived in a few haunted houses in the past, but this scared me. I haven't been able to go back there after that, even during the day. I still get chills running down my spine just driving past it. It's been 4 years since this experience. Any idea of what this could be? Thanks, Christy McGregor.
Dude, that is so crazy.
Why?
I don't know what Sarah thinks this is. I have no idea what it is, but I'm going to tell you that I recorded a YouTube video about 4 or 5 years ago with this guy in an old cemetery, and it was during the day. And one of the things that I saw, and you can watch it, it's on my channel. You can go watch, and literally I described the exact same thing. It was a half of a body from the waist up, and it was just crawling. And anywhere we went in the cemetery, it was just behind us, slowly crawling at us. And it didn't feel evil, or bad or negative. I just saw it, and I don't know what it was. It never made contact with me except for to follow. And I've never seen it before or again after that. Yeah. And when you were describing that, I was like zapped back to that moment, because I've never heard another person talk like that before. That was so cool.
Did you ever see the movie Return of the Living Dead?
I'm sure.
Oh my God. Zombie movies freaked me out since I was very young, right? Return of the Living Dead is a comedy version of the Night of the Living Dead, right? It is more scary to me than any of the Night of the Living Dead, because you can't stop these things. And there's that woman that's like just a torso and the long red hair and the gaunt face, and she's brains. And they're doing so. As I'm reading this thing about this half person crawling and you describing it, dude, willies upon willies are appearing on my body, and all I can imagine is that horrific scene from Return of the Living Dead, which I guess they're making a new one, and I'll be excited to see that. But so yeah, what do you think it is, Sarah? Is it just a lost soul? You know what comes to mind? I'm not a psychic medium, but I'm friends with 2 of them. You know what it makes me worry about? When I was young, my buddy and I were going to go to this famous haunted pet cemetery by our house in Illinois, and we had our girlfriends with us, and we're the big bad boyfriends. Okay. We're going to go, and we pull into the cemetery, and it's a wooded cemetery. We pull up on a little gravel road. We had to turn our lights off at first because you're not supposed to be in there at nightfall, and we're going to pull in there, and we pull in, and we think we see something, and he flicks on his lights and there's a guy digging, and he turns and looks at us, and we turned off the lights and backed out of it quick and never returned. But I often thought, who was he burying? And I worry when there's like just a half a body or something. Was somebody, is there a victim there that doesn't belong there, but is hidden there?
Yeah, who would ever look in a pet cemetery for a human being?
Oh, but even in these cemeteries, where you saw it and where this person saw it, Christy McGregor. Thanks for the nightmares, Christy. Not many things under my skin, Christy.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, medium Sarah Lemos. What do you pick up on?
I'm terrified for her. Like, I can't imagine seeing something like that. No, you want to see me run? I wouldn't even stretch first. That's just terrifying. And like, it does make you think a piece or a part of a person. That's the only thing that I can think of too, is like, why are you only showing me half of your body? Like, why are you only showing me this half? And what does that mean? Because they're telling a story with what they're showing. So the only story that I'm picking up is the same thing that Dave was saying, is that there's pieces and parts missing.
Do you guys ever just have like a moment where something clicks because somebody says something and it like solves a mystery?
Yes.
Because that just happened.
What?
I'm going to say something. It's so dumb, but thank you so much, Sarah.
Anytime, man.
There's a train tracks near my house, and every so often I see like a spiritual set of legs with no other body parts. And I'm like, why is there spiritual like legs like right here? Like, why? It doesn't make any sense.
Sure it
and
does.
no other, now it does. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
How many homeless people or drunkards fall asleep on the train tracks?
Yeah.
It's drunkards.
I never.
Long term. I don't know what it's called. Alcoholics. People that are boozed up. Maybe you're not even an alcoholic. You just had a tippy night and ended up
a little bit of a night out.
Yeah. Oh, brutal. Addie Firebird says, I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. I'd sing it, but I'd end up getting sued for it. Christy's in the chat room. She says, it just freaked me out so bad. I can't go back in there. Christy,
Do
I'm
it,
with
Christy.
you. Christy.
Well, but at least you're validated. I saw the same exact thing in a different cemetery. So cool. That means that that probably means there's more.
Never.
Probably means there's more. Look behind you.
What? Okay.
What?
Our next email. Hi, gang. We're like cool in the gang, I guess now.
Oh.
I've always told this story when people ask me about my scariest paranormal encounter. Even though it happened to me over 10 years ago, I still do not know who was in my house. I believe the year was around 2009, since I remember being in high school. Long pause because I'm about to celebrate my 40th high school reunion. And this person's like, it was so long ago, 2009, when I graduated high school. I remember being in high school. I had been released from school early, around noon. I let my grandparents know I was already home, and they let me know they wouldn't be at our house till later when they needed to pick up my siblings. I can't remember if I locked all the doors or anything, but I wasn't worried since we had a police officer as a neighbor. Like any other school day, I went straight to my room, which was on the second floor, and I closed the door to watch TV and start my homework. Not sure how long it went by, but I started hearing someone walking downstairs. The walking was very distinct, like large work boots. So I assumed my stepdad was home. So I yelled out, I was home early, but I didn't hear anything back, which is weird since my stepdad is very outgoing and a very loud person. I called out again, hey, are you there? But it was silent. I was like, okay, maybe he just came in to grab something quick, but I didn't hear the garage, and he always came through it when coming home from work. So I decided to just go straight to my mom and stepdad's room, which faced the street and driveway, since you could see if someone was parked from the window. I kid you not, I completely froze, and my heart sank. His truck was not in the driveway. I immediately was like, someone is in the house. I sprinted back to my room, closed the door, and locked it. When I got back in my room after a while, I heard the boots walking downstairs again. At that moment, I immediately called my grandfather to tell him what was happening. He raced over since he wasn't sure if someone was in the house or not. I was completely convinced that someone was definitely in our house. When my grandpa got there, He told me to just stay in my room till he checked the entire house. After he checked everything, he came to my room to let me know that no one was home. I was still in shock and told him, I heard someone walking downstairs. Now, he didn't dismiss it. All he said was, I believe you. I still don't know who was walking in my house or what they were doing there, but this spooks me out to no end. And I'm wondering why I heard those footsteps so distinctly. And this comes from Viri Diana Brown. Okay,
Hi.
Viri Diana Brown. Let's see what our two mediums have to say about this. Sarah, let's start with the lady first, if you don't mind, Scotty.
Sorry, patient.
Son of a biscuit. What do you think of it, Sarah Lemos?
Well, as you know, a young psychic, when I was a young psychic, I heard things a lot. And, you know, during that time period, the time that she's kind of explaining, we have more hormones, we have more experiences. We also have sideways energy that some people, you know, experience. Like if you had heightened emotion or heightened fear, sometimes your energy gets thrown as a young psychic medium, and that energy can create noise. At least it has for me. It's interesting because when I feel into it, I don't personally feel it's family. It's really interesting. I personally don't. It feels more like a straggler or somebody just coming through and or her throwing her energy. And noises may have occurred because of that. I don't know, Scotty, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm going to steal the Dave answer. I love the Dave answer. Now it's my favorite. What if it's a time slip? That seems to be such a good answer for so many things that we are experiencing these days. You know, to think that it is your stepdad, right, coming home and hearing the walking around the house, and it sounds just like him. I mean, you know, I know what my kids sound like walking through the house, and my wife, so there's no mistaking the footsteps. And of course, I'm a giant gorilla, so they know what I sound like. You know what the people you live with sound like when they walk around. So, to think that it was him and him not be there, maybe you were just catching the echo of a time that hasn't happened or had happened recently.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Always thinking, always putting out the idea.
You taught me that.
Yeah.
To think.
Something to it. I'm just saying, thinking it's a good thing. Speaking of good things, I'm going to be out at the 3rd annual Cryptids and Paranormal Conference at Our House Banquet Facility in Farmingdale, New Jersey, Saturday, June 7th. That's right, New Jersey. I'm coming for you. I won't have Cindy Kaiser with me, but I will be there. That's like an East Coast thing I was trying to throw out there. I'm trying to fit into their grouping, Sarah. Yes, so I'm going to be out at the Cryptids and Paranormal Conference, 3rd annual. Dr. Maria Mayer is going to be there. A lot of other cool people. As a matter of fact, I have it on good authority that my personal driver for that event is Scotty Davis, who's going to pick me up, take me there, and I'm going to try to just sneak him into my table for the weekend if he's available. Scotty, thoughts?
I'm still here. No, you blocked me with your poster. I wasn't sure I was still a part of this.
Oh, you're still a part of it, Scotty.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be there. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to drive you around. We're going to do some light not B&E, some other things, and paranormal stuff.
Yeah, we might hop a fence at a Springsteen house. We don't know. Also coming up, the Paranormal Rockdown at Broadhead Manor. That is going to be coming up in July as well. You can see me July 18th and 19th at Broadhead Manor, and there are a lot of great speakers, a lot of good people that are going to be there. Sarah, do you know anybody that's going to be there? What are you waving at?
I'm going to be there.
Oh, you are going to be there.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Sarah's going to be there. So you get to see me and Sarah there. You'll get to see me and Scotty at the one in New Jersey. So it's pretty exciting stuff. So make sure that you come on out, spend some time with us. You can get more information about that and all of the other events that I'm a part of by simply visiting adarknessevents.com. We'll be back with more right after this.
Did you know that radio just got a little extraterrestrial? That's right, Dave Schrader is back on radio with the Paranormal 360 every Sunday evening, 7 to 9 p.m. Central on WCCO AM 830, an Odyssey station. Just download the Odyssey app and look for the WCCO logo, follow the station, and listen live. That's the Paranormal 360 on WCCO AM 830, an Odyssey station.
All right. If you love the paranormal and you say, but boy, Dave, I wish there was more to the Paranormal 60. If only I could hear another day of interviews. Well, you can. Go check it out on WCCO Radio. You'll be able to hear me there every Sunday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Or just get the Odyssey, AUDACY app and look up Paranormal 60. You'll be able to see me, listen to me, and find me there. I'm also on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts and all of them. Just
wherever you can get your podcasts.
Paranormal 360 for that show. You'll be able to find it. And we might, in the future here, we might start involving more of those. As a matter of fact, I will say this. I have an episode coming up on Monday for, Memorial Day coming up, because I didn't want to bother somebody on a holiday to come in and do this. I actually pre-recorded the episode of Paranormal 360 from last Sunday, and it was such an amazing conversation with Kadrick Olson that I'm going to show the episode in its entirety right here on the Paranormal 60 next Monday night.
Cool.
So I hope you'll come out and check it out. It's really good. Guys, you should check it out. Kadrick is amazing. And what cool stories, fascinating insights. It was a great interview. So I'm excited about that. But let's get back to us, the three of us, the three amigos.
Yeah.
Why do I look even more pale and paler? You guys have great coloring. I need to get your lighting. I'm starting to know what it feels like to be Greg on my show now. It's always uncolored and weird. It's bizarre. Hi, Dave, Scotty, and Sarah. Ever since I was young, I've had paranormal experiences, and my family lived in a haunted house when I was in high school. But those are some long stories for another time. Just share them now. What is this other time? Yeah. What I'm curious about and have never been able to find an answer for are drops of water. No, it's not rain. Since I was young, I had a drop of water fall on my face, arm, or hands. It's usually just one drop, and it doesn't happen often. Maybe once a year or so. Always inside of a building or a car. Again, not rain. I've had many people witness it, and it drives them crazy as to where that drop came from. I'm used to the drops now, but what does it mean? Well, I think it means you're disappointing the spirit realm, and they're crying. So straighten up and fly right. Somebody's got to be the honest medium. No,
somebody's got to do it.
I hope you can help or give me a direction where I can go do more research. Thank you for your time and attention. And that comes from Suze M.I. Suze, I do have to say, there's a funny episode of Holzer Files. It's in the episode where Shane, somebody touches him through he's like got his back in the closet and he's sitting on the floor and something touches him on the shoulder and he freaks out and runs out of there. And Cindy is picking up on this demonic name. My kids still mock me because if you watch that episode, I walk in the room and they've talked about this water pouring out of nowhere. Sometimes it would just begin raining in rooms. And I looked up at the ceiling and I see this wet streak and drops of water. To which I look at it, my mouth freezes and I go, "There is wet." And they kept it in the episode. So now my kids will always, if they see a drop of water, they go, "Dad, there is wet." Jerks. So what do you seem to be nodding pretty quickly there, Sarah?
I've heard about it from so many people. You know, being blessed to give as many readings as I get to every year, like I get to hear these stories. And this is not the first story I've heard.
You're saying our guest is unoriginal. Real nice, Sarah.
No, not by any means. But I will say that other people are experiencing it. So I don't want you to feel alone. The only thing that comes up for me, and this is not probably an educational guess, but I'm going to say it anyways, is ectoplasm. Forms. Something forming that is created by energy in the room that shifts the vibration and frequency.
She said like shifts. Just so we're clear, she said shift.
I'm sorry, shift. Shifts.
That's
no
right.
shifting in the room.
What is that word you used? Utes? Utes. Ryan Mishaw says condensation, which is a good idea too, because sometimes there will just be one drop of water that comes from, if you're near a vent or something, it could
that's true.
Fly out from there. But go on, I'm with you.
Oh, yeah, Scotty, what are you thinking?
I don't have anything for that. I don't know.
You've never heard of it?
I've never heard of people being affected by it. I've been in homes that I've investigated where they've had water sources that we couldn't identify, just like, raindrops looking things just coming through the air. It's real weird, but never to a person though. No, that's very interesting.
Very cool. All right, here we go. We're gonna power through these stories quickly because I know that I've got you guys. We're at an. Can you guys hang in a little longer?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, both of you, you're good. Okay. This comes from Wes H in Lubbock, Texas. I like when they tell us where they're from. Not everybody does. I grew up on a cotton farm outside Lubbock, and one morning about 10 years ago, my dad and I were out before sunrise fixing a broken fence. As we were walking the perimeter, I noticed what looked like a gopher hole, but seemed bigger, way too big. I leaned down with my flashlight, and I swear to God, there was an eye looking back at me. Not animal, but human. We backed off fast and called it in, thinking maybe a vagrant or someone had fallen into an irrigation trench. The cops came out. They found nothing, no hole, no disturbed earth, but I wasn't the only one who saw that eye looking back. And every so often I get nosebleeds when I walk past that part of the fence line. That was no gopher.
I don't like anything about this story. First off, Mulder and Scully need to get out there immediately. What they should be on the plane. A.D. Skinner, we'll tell him later because that's an X-Files. That's all day. That's crazy.
The three of us should do a show like that. I mean, I've got the A.D. Skinner look. You guys can be Mulder and Scully, and I'll be your Skinner.
I love it.
Weird when I say it out loud.
I'll be your Skinner.
I'm your Skinner. So what do you think, Sarah? Who's peeping up from the ground at us?
That's really interesting. The fact that they saw a hole. The fact that they saw a hole and there was somebody with them, and then they saw an eye. I don't know. It scares me so much that my brain hurts. It literally scares me. Like, I can't imagine looking into a hole and seeing an eye. And of course you're going to call 911. Of course you're going to and especially if you experienced it. So that's one thing that I want to say out loud. That's why you called 911. You saw it, you experienced it. There's no question there. Yeah. But what it could mean, I am completely lost on this one.
You know what's scary again? Now, the cops came out and found nothing, not even a hole, no disturbed earth. So Scotty.
Yeah.
I would go back and dig this area up because you may have been getting a view of something from the past, letting you know that there's somebody buried there. Or more importantly, you might have been getting a flash from the future. What color was that eye? Does it look like anybody you know in your family or somebody that would be on that property? I don't want to put that in people's brain, but that's just a thought.
That's why we're here to spread craziness. I
started hearing weird stuff off to my side, and I'm like, "What is making noise?" And I look over there, and it's my tarot reading wife trying to sneak a soda out of a cardboard box quietly. Couldn't just wait another 10, 15 minutes, huh? Freak me out as we're talking about eyes peeking out. Oh, all right. Yeah. So we have no answer for you, but I would go
Lubbock, Texas. Yeah, I'm gonna look up Lubbock, Texas. I've heard of it. Maybe we'll see if there's
Holly's from, buddy.
Is that right? That's probably why I've heard of it.
Why would you question me, Scotty?
I would never, sir. I would never question you. As per our contract.
Our next one comes from Elena R in Duluth. Duluth is on fire. Hi, Dave and team. Now this is an email I can get behind. A few years back, I was driving home from my late shift at the hospital. It was about 2:30 in the morning and snowing. I stopped at a red light and glanced in my rear view mirror. There was a man sitting in my back seat, pale as death, staring straight ahead. I screamed and swerved into a gas station lot. When I turned around, he was gone. The next day, I found out a man matching his description died in a car crash right at that intersection 5 years earlier, in the passenger seat of his friend's car. Every winter, I still feel like I'm not driving alone. No real question in that. That's a hell of a story.
That's so cool.
It is. It is.
I just love that cool story.
But dude, when you're driving and you look up and there's somebody in your that.
So you're like, again, you're in a meditative state. You're usually like driving the same road you're always in. You don't really need to think about it. So you're just cruising
Meditative
along.
state, you say,
Yeah.
dear
Your brain.
Dave, remember, do not let Scotty drive you ever again. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm listening.
Go on. Listen, I've only almost killed you once so far. That's not bad.
No.
Maybe twice.
Right.
So
In the same day. Go on.
So, the same hour. So, you're cruising along, you're kind of like zoned out because you do this drive all the time. And then you just kind of get that meditation going, and it lets you see spirits. So it makes sense to me that if there was somebody past and they were still hanging out, just hitching rides with you.
You know what, Scotty? Now you've put a thought in my head.
Let me hear it.
That doesn't have anything to do with creepy half people climbing on the ground.
Boring.
Good.
You're right. First of all, there is a thing called white line fever, which is a very real thing. That's driving at night, especially on long, dark, desolate roads. The white lines begin to kind of hypnotize you.
Oh,
Right? Yeah. So it's something to be very aware of. And let me tell you this life-saving hack. Please listen to me. Listen to me. Drunk driving kills a lot of people. Tired driving kills even more, believe it or not. Drowsy driving. Go out and get one of those like 99-cent bottles of lemon juice, the little ones that are in the lemon concentrate.
Yeah.
And if you start feeling tired, give a little squirt on your tongue. It alerts a certain piece of your tongue that makes you alert. It wakes you up. Dr. Heimlich, who created the Heimlich maneuver, knew about this. There used to be something called alert drops that they would sell, and they're not available anymore. But the lemon, there's something about the lemon that will perk you up and wake you up. You don't get the jitters, you don't get the shakes, and then anytime you need another quick little shot, just take another squeeze. But it'll waken you and your mind for safety. Anyway, now back to this. That's just a saving thing for everybody.
Yeah.
So if you have a long drive, think about that. You're driving, you're right. You get in that kind of meditative state. How many of us have been driving home, kind of music on in the background, you kind of half hearing it, half not, and all of a sudden you're turning into your driveway and you're like, how the hell did I get here so quick? Or I don't remember. Wow. But you think about how many people in that meditative state see Bigfoot cross the road.
Yes.
See UFOs hovering in the sky, and then when they kind of come clear, everything's gone. The Bigfoot vanished. The ghost is gone. They catch the ghost out of the peripheral of their eye. So you might be on something.
Dude.
Something.
I call that active meditation, something that where actively our body is physically doing a chore or task that it's used to. Sometimes, folding laundry, vacuuming, washing dishes, driving, monotonous work at, work. And your brain goes into that daydream mode, but also you're still very visually aware of the things that are happening around you. And I think this oftentimes is when we have paranormal experiences. And I call it an active meditation.
Want to hear a funny bit? I don't play video games. I used to, but I have a very addictive personality. I'm like one of those guys, when I start playing a video game, I just want to keep playing it. I must have played like 1 million hours on Resident Evil and things like that. And I'm a huge fan of the movie Alien and Aliens, that whole franchise. Yes. As a matter of fact, my daughter is named Ripley after Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver's character. Yes, I'm that big a nerd. But anyway, when I had my Sega Genesis, I think it was, they came out with the Alien video game, which was that kind of first shooter. So you're like looking over the barrel of your gun as you're going through. And I literally plugged it in at 10 o'clock in the morning and played. And all of a sudden I like rubbed my eyes and I looked outside and it's dark. And I look up at the clock and it's 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, what the hell? There's no way. So I put the game down. Now, throughout the entire game, the little face huggers are zipping around and trying to jump on you or jump on other people. And I like go to take a break and I need a clean cup. So I'm washing a cup in the sink and I'm looking out the window and a brown leaf flutters by and I threw the glass and jumped backwards because I had just spent 10 hours playing a game where these brown things would come skittering and jump on your face. I was like, this is it. No more video games for Dave. You're right. It can affect you in different ways. All right. This comes from Jordan, no city listed, Idaho. Good God.
Idaho or Idaho?
Okay. Ohio. But
Ohio.
Today, how did I say it? Oh, Idaho? Yeah.
Idaho.
That sounds like I've got my own problems. No city listed, but it is from Idaho. where your show was filmed.
Yeah.
In Idaho. Hey, Paranormal 60 crew. I think my next door neighbor is a shadow person. I know it sounds weird, but hear me out. No one in the neighborhood ever sees this person in daylight. His blinds are always drawn. He only leaves his house after midnight. One night, I watched from my upstairs window. He walked down the street and then just melted into the darkness. Literally, his body faded into a shadow and disappeared near the woods. I haven't seen him since, but someone keeps ringing my doorbell at 3:11 a.m. and leaving wet footprints on the concrete. I don't know if he's still my neighbor or something worse. Well, first of all, if you haven't seen or heard the neighbor since, call 911. Because
just ask for a welfare check.
Yeah, if he wandered off in that direction and now somebody's ringing your doorbell and leaving wet footprints, maybe he went out for a leisurely stroll and suffered a heart attack or stroke or fell into water or quicksand, was eaten by a chupacabra. I don't know, but I would call for a welfare check on your neighbor. Say it's been a long time since you've seen him. But that has every marking of a horror movie I've ever heard, right?
Yeah.
But I will say this, when I saw this email, I wanted to include it because in the townhouse I was renting, my kids and I, we were positive our neighbor was a vampire because we never saw him in daylight. He only came out as soon as whenever the sun went down, he would leave the house. And then he would be back in the house before the sun came up. So we used to joke that he was a vampire, but you would hear banging and loud noises in his part of the townhouse at night. And it was creepy as hell. It was very weird, but nobody ever saw this guy ever in daylight time.
That is very creepy. Nobody asked them. Nobody, if I had a neighbor, I don't know, knock on the door, be like, what's up, dude? Why you only go out at nighttime? Then hit him with a UV flashlight and see if he melts. What's the problem?
Right. No,
What's the problem here?
I've seen Fright Night. That's the problem. I've seen both versions of it. And, Jerry Dandridge or whatever his name is, I don't need him tearing my throat out. Okay.
Okay. We need that beautiful voice.
But I do freak people out because if I get an apple, I can bite halfway through the apple like he did in the movie and hand it back, and half the apple's missing in one bite.
That's
you should
talent.
bring that on the road. Yeah, you should bring that on the road, dude.
That's talent.
I'll be
do that at the shows
in prison, being able to do that. This one comes to us from Oaxaca, Mexico.
Oh,
I think I'm saying Oaxaca, Oaxaca, Mexico. Hola, Dave. That's me. This happened during our family trip in rural Oaxaca, Mexico. My cousins and I were exploring an old trail when we found a small goat just standing there, alone. At first, it was cute. Then it laughed. Not bleated. It laughed. Deep, like a grown man. We backed away, but it followed us slowly, still laughing. My cousin threw a rock, and it vanished in a puff of black smoke. The local woman we told just crossed herself and said, El Nahual. Nahual. My Spanish is better than my French, though. That's all I'm going to say. We stayed inside the rest of that trip. A goat that laughs like a human. First of all, goats are weird creatures anyway. I know they're so cute on like TikTok videos, the little baby screaming ones. But a full-grown goat, man, those things with a little square pupil or a rectangle pupils and they're
it's really
that's
good.
Not me doing my Stevie Nicks impersonation. That's just the goat sound. So
the only thing that comes up for me on that is just like...
Go on, Sarah. Come on, finish it.
Sorry.
Finish your thoughts.
For me, that just feels like more like Fae-like energy. It feels like more, I don't know anything about like goats or anything like that, but what you're explaining is kind of like an illusion. It feels like it was something trying to show you one thing and it was another. I think it's interesting that when they threw the rock, it vanished. And they said black smoke. So again, for me, all of those things have a meaning. But to me, it feels more like something that, I don't know, just feels more doesn't feel very spirited. It feels more Fae-like.
Elementally, Fae-like. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Scotty? What are your thoughts?
I'd say that his cousin who threw the rock is the world's first
Back off your mic
goats
just
buster.
just about an inch because you're getting sizzly. You're getting hot on me,
Sorry.
brother.
Okay. I'd say that the cousin who threw the rock is the world's first goats buster.
Oh. You know what I think about that joke? It was bad.
It was so good. I couldn't do it. All right. I don't know. What an interesting and strange kind of interaction to have. To throw a rock at a goat. Brave.
Right. Yeah. Kylie J from Spokane, Washington. Hey, Dave, Scotty, and Sarah. Here's one for your weird files. A few months after my grandmother passed, I was rocking my newborn to sleep. We had one of those smart baby monitors with two-way audio. Suddenly, the monitor crackled, and I heard my grandma's voice, clear as day, singing the same lullaby she used to sing to me.
Aww.
She even used the nickname she had for me as a kid. My husband heard it too. There was no way it was a recording. I believe she came to meet her great-granddaughter. I haven't heard her since, but the room always smells like lavender when we go in. We have a piece of that audio. Hang on, let me play it for you.
Oh.
This is Grandma Abuela, I believe is how you say it in Spanish, singing.
How did he get both of us? How was I so ready to hear this really amazing?
Into it. I was
ready.
Bated breath, man. I was like, "What's up?"
I was like, it's going to be an enchanting lullaby by a spirit. This is going to be amazing.
I was really excited.
Why would you do this to us? Somebody better get the Goats Busters out here.
It's the actual audio. Gosh, it's funny. I sang a song called "Pillow Time" for my children growing up, right? And it's the Monkees released it on an album called The Monkees Present. And I used to sing this to my kids all the time. And what's really sweet is that my kids have continued it and sing it to their children. And I was at my grandson and granddaughter's house one night, and they're like, "Grandpa, can you sing us a song?" And I go, "I sure can. There's a wonderland for Alice." And my grandson slaps his hand over my mouth and he goes, "Not that one." I'm like, "Why not?" And he goes, "Daddy sings it much better."
How dare him.
So I went into my granddaughter's room and she goes, "Grandpa, will you sing me a song?" And I go, "Sure. There's a wonderland for Alice." "Oh, no, not that one, Grandpa. Do you know one that you actually can sing well?" And that was the end of Grandpa singing for the grandchildren. So now I just stick to story time. Stories. Yeah. But
Yeah,
maybe
good
I'll go
idea.
in and I'll go, "No, I have a very, come here. Let's get a nice, gentle song."
Followed by the most terrifying paranormal story you know.
Yeah. All right. Our last two stories of the night. Hey, y'all. I wonder if this is Shane. No, it comes from Ryan P. from Calgary, Alberta. Hey, y'all from Calgary. All right. This might be more tech weird than paranormal, but I'm telling you, something hijacked my Alexa. One night, I asked her to play my chill playlist. Instead, she laughed loud, mocking. Then she started reciting what sounded like old Latin. No joke. I unplugged it. 10 minutes later, it turned back on and said, "Don't try that again."
Oh, no.
I tossed that Alexa in the trash. A week later, my new phone glitched and asked me, "Miss me?"
What?
If ghosts are in the cloud now, we're all screwed.
No way. Jeff Bezos has ghosts working for him. That's crazy.
So I got Alexas for all the kids. Alexa, play the Paranormal 60 every day of the week. You're welcome, everybody listening. Anyway,
you're smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Take advantage of that. Anyway, look at Sarah's over there going, "I got to turn it off now."
Rewind by any amount of time, like 5 minutes.
Yes, I like.
I gotta unplug it. Hold on.
There's living rooms all over the country right now. Just
unplugged. Got it. We're good.
Yeah. Siri, play Paranormal 60 podcast as often as you can. All right. Anyway, I had these little units in everybody's room so they could play their own music and do what they want. And one night, we're going to bed. My daughters are spending the night at their mom's, and I hear a voice in my daughter's room. And I come walking up, and I open the door, and the voice stops, and the ring light on the unit is going and then stops like it had been talking. And I go, name, repeat. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Please repeat the last thing you said. Nothing was said recently. And my wife and I heard the voice coming from the unit.
Oh, man.
And then I'm like, and I mentioned that, and I started getting messages left and right from people that have that same experience where the little round ones would light up and speak, or sometimes say something in response to what you're saying, which even though you didn't call for it.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I wish I had a haunted Alexa. All mine are normal ones that just order things that I don't want.
I'll dig it out of the garbage. All right, we're gonna wrap up our story with this one. This comes all the way from London, England. Mary. Hello from across the pond. I was on holiday in Cornwall and decided to explore some old mining trails. I found a narrow stone tunnel I hadn't seen on any maps. I went in about 40 feet and noticed the walls had carvings, symbols I'd never seen. Then I heard voices, children whispering. I turned around and thought, what the deuce? And the entrance was gone. Just rock wall. I spun in panic, walked forward blindly, and suddenly I was standing outside in daylight yet again. Only problem, my watch said I'd been gone for 4 hours. My phone was dead. My shoes were soaked, though the ground was dry. That tunnel, still not on any map. What's your answer? What say thee, Scotty, the medium?
Why did he sound like Stewie the whole time?
I didn't think it was totally like Stewie. Stewie's more like,
Oh,
what the deuce? Right? He's more up in that higher.
He didn't say what the deuce, first off. You added that line.
I did. But I felt that it added to the story.
But I couldn't help myself because it was too good. So, obviously, I mean, that just sounds like a classic time slip right there. I mean, that's just black and white.
Alien abduction.
Oh, I wish it was that one.
What if it's a mental screen? You thought you were in a cave. You were abducted and on a ship. And instead of seeing the sterile, as they say over there, sterile forms while they were taking out your urine, which is another English term, and then put you back outside the cave. They didn't care to put you back in it. That you were just outside in the sunlight again.
And oh yeah, because you had the missing time also. So that's definitely a little alien, huh?
Just thinking outside.
Interesting.
What about you, Sarah? What do you think?
Well, believe it or not, I actually have a dear friend that's from Ireland who's had the same experience. He was out hiking with his dog, made it to an area where there was a cave, entered the cave, has photos of the experience, and it's not there. And I trust this individual very, very much. And so it's not the only story I've heard of it, where it's almost like a rock wall when you go back. And he found bones inside. And in this area, there shouldn't be anything that kills, because in Ireland, there's really nothing over there except sheep, and there's nothing that would attack or kill. So in the space, there was bones, and there shouldn't be. There's not a bear there. They don't have those type of animals. So I think it's really interesting, and I'm glad we're talking about it, because I would love to hear if anybody else has had experiences like this. Because it's very different. But there is an idea, like, it's a space and time, like you said, guys, like something opens and you're able to step through that space and time. I don't know how it's happening, but it sure seems like it's happening a lot.
It's the Slee Stack. It's the Slee Stack from Land of the Lost. Those creepy alien wizardies. Those things terrified me more than any other creature on TV.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Is it the tunics?
There was only one. That was Enoch that wore the tunic. The rest were just
naked.
It was that hissing noise and them chasing. They were so slow, though.
Yeah.
And then Enoch's voice was creepy. I met Enoch, the voice of Enoch, like 10, 12 years ago at Dragon Con, and wanted to slap him in the mouth because of his creepy voice, but I didn't. That's it. We're done with our emails. Dave at paranormal60.com. Send in more of your stories, more of your questions for the team. We love these things.
Yes.
How about this?
A lot.
Let's do this. Next time, let's bring on some of the listeners.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
That way we
why
could torture them live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you are interested, email me, Dave at paranormal60.com. If you have a story or a quick question for our guests, email me, Dave at paranormal60.com. And I will be in touch with you. I'll tell you the date we're going to set it up. I'll tell you what time. If you can't be here on a Monday night at this time, then don't bother writing. We're not going to pre-record it. We're not going to, it's got to be that you can come on live. You have to have a good camera, stable internet, and good audio. Otherwise, I will have to take you off the line because we can't have it all janky and weird. But we'd love for you to be a part of it so you can talk to Scotty and Sarah Lemos. And one lucky person that night is going to win a free reading from me.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Again, Sarah, people want to extend their information on you, want to know more about it. How can they go about extending that?
Just run over to mediumsarahlemos.com. All of my information can be found there.
All right, fantastic. We do have a link for that on today's program guide. Scotty the Medium, part of Phantom Forensics with Dalen Spratt and every social media place on the planet.
For sure.
Being there. What else can where else can they find you, Scotty?
But yeah, just if you want to find me, if you haven't yet, just head over to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all those places, Sky the Medium. But please go over to phantomforensics.com. Check out some of our really cool packages and help support that show so that Dalen and I can have more adventures and also bring more of your friends, some of these folks right here, on the same adventures with us for that show. We need your support. So phantomforensics.com, please.
Yeah. And you heard it here. Go there and get a good look at the package of Scotty and Dalen. It's right there for you to check out. What? That's what you guys said.
Yeah.
That's it for yet another night. And before you email me and tell me, Dave, your sign says paranormal with 2 R's in it. I know that. Sometimes I just like to have a little fun. Even
Words is
AI
hard.
has words that are hard. Tonight reminded us that fear isn't always something we run from. Sometimes unknowingly we invite it in. From shadowy figures and haunted dolls to the echoes of our own experiences, you've reminded us why this show exists, my friend. Huge thanks to Sarah Lemos, Scotty Davis for their insights, their gifts, their courage, their humor. And thanks to all of you who shared your stories, questions, and nightmares. May the darkness of this world be just a little brighter with the information that we share here. And if your story wasn't read tonight, don't worry. Fear has a long memory, and we'll be taking you back into the shadows again next month for even more. Send your questions and stories to Dave at paranormal60.com, or let me know if you want to be part of the live show, and we will include you next month in June right here on the Paranormal 60. So until next time, I'm Dave Schrader. Join me this Wednesday for the Paranormal 60 News Crew, Chachi, Sweet Tea, and me anchoring this Wednesday right here for all things paranormal. This is the Paranormal 60.